So welcome everybody to discover North Macedonia's Vranec, grape variety, with Zvonko Herceg. Just a little bit about the webinars, first of all. So my name is Lydia Harrison. I'm a Master of Wine and Educator at WSET School London, and I also organise our events programme, which during lockdown, obviously we had to put online. So we've been doing webinars. And the school is now reopened, but we're continuing them because they've been so successful and because people still have limitations on travel. So it's a way to bring some wine education to you in the comfort of your own home. But the school is back open, and throughout we've also been doing online courses, so you can have a look at our website and do any of our WSET qualifications online as well. And it's my pleasure to introduce Zvonko Herceg, who is the wine educator at, well, the company is called Wine Educator, but it's the educational arm of the Tikves Winery in North Macedonia, which is also known as the Republic of Macedonia. And he is going to take you on a journey of this wonderful grape variety this evening. So, Zvonko, over to you.
Thank you very much, Lydia. And thank you to WSET School London and you for giving us opportunity to present our wine region, our country, our very important grape variety Vranec. And this evening, for the first time, we try to explain and pass through some short summary here, just to meet the basic information about where we are. Where is our country and wine region located, our wine roots, shortly about the wine history, some facts of production and viticulture, about the quantity of production and the importance of Vranec grape variety. Main wine regions, Vardar River Valley is one of, I like to say, main wine artery here in the Balkan Peninsula. Our very important wine region. Then very shortly about the classification and comparison with the European Union wine law. Then we come to the Vranec variety as a plant and viticulture characteristics. And after that, we will pass to the Vranec wines, characteristic of wines made from Vranec and some wine styles which is actually producing here in North Macedonia and in some different wine districts. So for the very beginning, I would like to, this is the map of Europe, as you know, but I see that we have a lot of guests which come from Mexico or from States and some other parts of the world. So it will be good to show where exactly the North Macedonia is located in the southeast of Europe. And as you can see more closer, it's not so far for the famous wine regions in France, Italy, Germany, Austria, Hungary, and so on. I mean, that's not too much, but we are not in some other part of the world. We are very close in the Europe. Actually, if we go more deeper, we are in the Balkan part of the Balkan Peninsula, which is natural northern border is made from River Sava, which flow up in the River Danube and further into the Black Sea. This I made a little mistake because the Danube go over there and Romania also become a part of the Balkan Peninsula, and this is very huge wine region. But we are talking about the North Macedonia. So our closest neighbors are Serbia from the north and Kosovo, Bulgaria east, Greece from south, and Albania from west. Hi there. And here is Montenegro, which is important about Vranec grape variety. We will talk later about the origin of Vranec grape variety. So just to know that it's not so far from North Macedonia. Going further, this political map, and further, the Balkan Peninsula is divided to the Western Balkan and Eastern Balkan. As you can see, the North Macedonia is in the center, in the heart of the Balkan Peninsula, and it's very important and strategic position. How in political, also in the wine industry, and the history of spreading the wine culture, because we all know that wine culture was spreading from east, from the mountain Caucasus, and go to the west, to the ancient Greece, Romans, and Gauls, and so on. But we are not talking too much about the history. Going further, which is interesting, what I find that actually Balkan Peninsula lies in the it's surrounded by 7 seas. It looks like some fairy tale. Actually, it's really 7 seas: Adriatic, Ionian, Mediterranean, Aegean Sea, Thracian Sea, Sea of Marmara, and Black Sea. All these Mediterranean seas has a Mediterranean influence on the countries on the Balkan Peninsula. And for North Macedonia, for us, it's very important agency, because it's responsible for Mediterranean hard influence to our country. Or if you can see, here is Vardar River Valley, which is flow up to the Aegean Sea, and here's a plain, actually 50-60 kilometers, from where is penetrate Mediterranean Sea and Mediterranean climate, and we have very unique climate. You will see later about the climate aspects on the viticulture. Okay, about the history of Macedonia, it's fine in North Macedonia, it's fine some artifacts in 13th century in Bronze Age, and it's considered that it's used for wine. But what is actually proved, and it's found, it was between 6th and 2nd century before Christ. It's found actually this what made from bronze, and with the roll to mix wine and water together with some plants, dry plants, in order to make more wines palatable, because production of ancient wines and the taste of ancient wines are so pungent. So this is what it find near the village Trebenista, and this shows that actually spreading the wine for a long history of wine culture and wine production here in our territory of our country, North Macedonia today. If we go further between 1st and 13th century, this is pretty much a long period. It's rise of Christianity, which impact on the production of the wines and the consumption of the wines, as well the Roman and the Byzantine period. I usually want to say the Roman wine renaissance, because the Romans, they find here good soil for wine production, for wine consumption, but they really do develop this production of wines. They start separate black grapes from white grapes by making red wines, white wines, and so on. And also hardly trading into the region between the Constantinople and Rome. There was a famous way, Via Ignatia, named by the Ignatio emperor, and Macedonian, in that time, Macedonian wines was a part of trading, and was finished on the Roma market, as well into the Constantinople on the east. Then it's come a little bit stagnation period from 14th century to early 20th century. Under the Ottoman Empire, Muslim religions don't promote drinking the alcohol, so the vast majority of the wines were uprooted and replanted with wines for the table grape for eating. And but in that period, actually, the Orthodox Church and the monks protect the wine production using in the mass like a part of their religion and for their religion. So in that period, we still keep the wine production and wine growing grapes in this region. And after that, it's coming phylloxera as a huge problem for whole Europe. And this period, it's not so good to remember. But then Macedonia, Republic of Macedonia, as a part of Yugoslavia in 20th century, after the Second World War, it's become the fruit basket for the, let's say, for the Yugoslavia then, because a lot of increasing of development of viticulture and agriculture at all was based actually in the Republic of Macedonia. For the sample, I will tell that maybe in 80s, around the 80s, Macedonia was participate with 80% of wine production in whole Yugoslavia. But in that period, the quantity was much important than the quality. Even then some vineyards, wine growers achieve awards for the higher production of the grapes. But Vranec in that period, even it's high productive, they offer the slightly higher, let's say, quality than other grape varieties in production. We are talking about production about 25 tons per hectare, let's say. And then the things changes a little bit and come to the end of 20th century and developments, modern viticulture, modern winemaking, for what we're talking later in this presentation. So we're going about some facts of wine production. Total vineyards, we are not so big wine region. Total vineyards are 33,000 as you see, but under the wine grape varieties, it's 28,000 hectares, almost 74 registered wineries, and 20,000 grape growers, which showing the pretty much fragmented production of grapes, of grape growing here. That impacts sometimes on the quality of the wines, but there's a lot of projects to educate the grape growers and to follow all their activities in the vineyard. So in order to protect the quality of the grapes, because as we know, all the wine is born in vineyards, and the quality of the grapes is very important. 15% is table grapes, and 85% is made wine grapes varieties for production of wine, 125 tons of grapes. Production in bottle increasing to 50%, and in bulk is 45%. Then we have a 5% in bagging box. The bagging box, need to say that improve in quality from year to year, so it's not something which we need to avoid. Actually, the bagging box, it's one good package for the wine when talking about regarding the oxidation of the wine. So total production 91 millions, and 50% is white, and approximately 50% it's red wines. Sales, export, mostly export-oriented country, 85%, and only 50% finish at home. Sales is done in 38 countries. Wine consumption per capita is 10 liter, and its second export commodity, agricultural commodity import, which is export from North Macedonia. When we're talking about the consumption per capita, I need to tell you that it's not counted the small producers for home production, and they also produce and consume pretty much higher quantity. But I think that probably this consumption will move near closer to the 20 liters per capita, almost double, let's say. Top 10 export destination in bottle: Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, Slovenia, this neighboring country from ex-Yugoslavia, China, Russia, Montenegro, Germany, Kosovo, USA, and other. And when we're talking about the bulk wine, Germany is a huge market for our bulk wine. Serbia, Croatia, Slovak, Czech, Canada, Bulgaria, Romania. As you can see, the Montenegro is here as well. But this information is come from the official customs of North Macedonia. So definitely we export some bulk wine to Montenegro. And I don't think that is white one. However, okay, and now we come to the wine region. This is the map of Yugoslavia and, oh, sorry, North Macedonia. And on the, as you see, we have one region at all, which is Macedonia wine region, and then is split on the western part with 1,800 hectares. And this western part encompassed 6 wine districts. Then in central, we have a central part, central wine region, which is also called Vardar River Valley, and this encompasses 7 wine districts, and east wine region with 1,700 hectares, 3 wine districts, and in total we have 16 wine districts. Much important is the Vardar River Valley and the central wine region. When I say important, I don't want to say that the other is less important, but here we see a huge potential for the wines and huge potential for developing of agriculture. Of course, western part has some other styles production of wines, eastern part some other more refreshing, and so on. So when we presenting the wine districts, as you can see on the relief map, it's usually based the wine districts into the basins surrounding with the mountain, and on the foothills of the mountains are actually the best vineyard. But this is not something new, because mostly of the vineyards in the world are usually based on some foothills of mountains or hilly, because this is specific terroir for and very good for wine production. This is Tikvesh wine region. We start with much important wine district with 12,300 hectares, and most of the wineries are concentrated there in Tikvesh. Then we go from the north, the Skopje wine district, offering more refreshing wines. Veles wine district as well, similar. And we have on the south, as you can see here, we have in this, in this part, we have a canyon here, from which is blowing the Mediterranean climate. But this wine district, Evgelia Valandovo, is actually part of the Thessaloniki plain, which is everything flat until the sea, and it's much higher influence of the Mediterranean climate. The next 3 wine districts is Ovče Pole and Počani and Strumica i Radoviš. That is with slightly smaller impact of the Vardar River Valley, but it's still high to be a part of this central wine region, which is much important for us. About the climate, we have very unique climate here, especially for Vardar River Valley. As you can see, it's 50, maybe 60 kilometers plain from the Aegean Sea, and from the south, it penetrates the Mediterranean climate. And as you can see, this Mediterranean climate is strongly passing through the canyon, and actually the canyon named Demirkapia, or literally translated, it will be Iron Gate, is act like a huge fan and blowing the Mediterranean hot wind into the valley, and especially in the Tikvesh area, because we see that it's much important, and we have the first impact of the Mediterranean climate, which has come here, and we have a very high mountains over there with some cooling effects, and we going further to see other climate aspects. From the north, we have a continental climate, and impact of the continental climate. So they 2 climates meet together, something let's say closer into the Veles and into the southern part of the Veles wine district and the northern part of the Tikveš area. If we see, if we check under the official climate zone, this is the border where it's passing C3 climate zone and C2 climate zone north from this border. And what they mean, that means that C3 zone encompasses the wine regions from, let's say, Puglia, Basilicata, Calabria, Sicilia, Sardinia, Corsica, south of Spain as well, from Douro River south into the Portugal. Here I think the Priorat and Penedès is also part of C3. But however, C2 is the northern part. This is the climate zone which encompasses the famous wine regions from Italy and also the vast majority of ex-Yugoslav countries. Nowadays, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, you see Montenegro is in this part, Croatia and so on. So we come back and to this map to explain more about the climate. As you can see, the relief, the North Macedonia is mostly mountain country. Approximately 75% are the mountains, and with peaks to 2,000 meters and more. It's really nice to visit us and who like hiking to our mountains. Of course, drink and eat very nice gastronomy. You are all welcomed. Here also we have a mountains climate, which make more complex climates into the Vardar River Valley. And that's not all. We also have Vardar breeze, which actually acts as a Mistral in Southern Rhone, because they have all the components. I mean, from the it's Mistral definitely because it's going from the northwest to the southeast, and it's cooling actually the vineyards into the hot days, and which is much important because we have a high temperature into the summer, approximately can reach 40, 45 degrees. So, but in the harvest we also can have heavy rains or just summer rains. This wind really helps to dry the grapes, and we don't need to use actually fungicides, which is make much easier for organic wine production in the Vardar River Valley at all, like a wine region. So that will be about the climate. About the soils, I will just mention that it's a very huge diversity of soils, and as you can see, there's a lot of mountains, and in the subsoil, it's often you can find some volcanic soil, especially here at the foothills of the Kožuv, which we know that impact somehow not with geological minerals, but impact on the taste of the wine as well. On the higher altitude, the grapes are more smaller, so we have more polyphenols, we have more anthocyanins, tannins, and so on, when we don't have too much pulp. And that will be about the climate. About the classification, very briefly, from the right side is actually European Union wine law. We have a table wine at the base from where we come. This is for the grapes come from the huge wine region everywhere in the North Macedonia. Then we have VGI, or wines with geographical indication, which is equal to to European Union as PGI, protected geographical indication. That means that has some restriction in wine production and as well in the grape production, and it still come from the bigger area. Grapes come from the bigger area, but it's not like from the table wine. It's come from particular wine districts. And then we have wine with controlled origin, together with wines with controlled and guaranteed origin, which is actually equal with PDO, or protected designation of origin, from European Union wine law. That means that wines come from very small areas and very controlled yield, reduction in the yield. There's a higher percentage of alcohol, and as well permitted, and which grape varieties are permitted in this production as well, and in the winery some processes which need to be provided during the production. So this should be reflected to more quality wines. But I also need to mention that under this appellation, the enologists usually have more untied hands to experiment and to work with some other grape varieties or with some grapes from other wine regions, and that not means that quality will be lower. Okay, about the classifications. This now we're going with the Vranec as a grape variety. The name Vranec, as pronounced in Montenegro, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, and Vranec, we said in North Macedonia. There's also in Kosovo, Vranec, I think. That is pronounced this grape variety. The name is come from, actually the synonyms is Vranac crnički, Vranac crni, Vranac prhljavac, but the name, the term Vran means black, and etymological meaning is like a black stallion or black horse, because the wines, because of the appearance, of the color of the wines, of its strength and potency, and is considered as wines with untamed spirit. Even during the production of the Vranec wine, when you come into the winery, every day you can smell some other aromas of Vranec, how it's developed into the winery, which is really difficult to say, to cut the production and say, okay, you will look like this, what you're offering me at the moment. Okay, this is about the name of Vranec. Viticulture characteristic, it's vigorous and productive. Actually, it's considered by the Professor Nastev that this grape variety is coming in 1950s in North Macedonia, then in the Republic of Macedonia as a part of Yugoslavia. Why? Because after the Second World War, the whole country was devastated, and Macedonia is looked for good for developing and for developing agriculture. So they find the grape variety Vranec, bring from Montenegro here an experimental vineyard in order to increase the production, because this grape variety can produce 20 to 25 tons per hectare. And that's why the wine growers actually falling in love in this grape variety. Not only reason, but it's good reason to love this grape variety, because can offer too much quantity. But also it's shown good when we make some good reduction of this, that will achieve a very high quality of wines. So this love, it became that this grape variety, most of wine growers, most of consumers actually was feel that is ingenious North Macedonian grape variety, which is not. But we will discuss a little bit later about that. Early budding, mid ripening, compact bunches. That is not so good, because as I mentioned about the probably rot in the rainy days, and need to find the clone, some adequate clone which can offer more space between the berries. Best results in warm soils, and moderate resistance to downy and powdery mildews. It's very susceptible to rot, especially to gray rot. Here is writing as a botrytis. Actually, we don't have a botrytis here on the grapes because we don't have a climate for developing of botrytis wines and botrytis grapes. And very successful on frost. I think that it was -12, where the actual wine and the grape clusters are frozen. Sugar content 20 to 24 grams per liter, and acid content between 6 to 7 grams per liter, which show up to very, very good natural balance for this grape variety. About the parentage, we will see the one parent is actually Zinfandel primitivo, Tribidac in Croatia, and Cartosia, as we say here in North Macedonia, and Cartosia also in Montenegro, together with Dulenga, with natural cross, it's born Vranec, and it is relative with Trnjenak, Crni, Plavac, Mali, very famous from Korčula, Grk, and so on. This is very shortly about the parentage, just to know for the guests from the United States that is actually, let's say, son of Zinfandel. Yeah. Good. About the origin and Balkan vineyards, very shortly. So it's indigenous grape variety of Montenegro, and there is planted on 3,600 hectares. As you can see here on the smaller map, this wine region is actually Crničko polje or Crnica fields. For the period of Yugoslavia, it was actually the military air base, and now it's vineyards mostly planted with Vranec, and it's based in the northern part of the Skadar lake. So here we have a very, very huge impact of the lake, as well of the Adriatic Sea on these regions. On this region here, it's very close to the capital of Montenegro, Podgorica. So if the Montenegro is homeland, we can say for the Macedonia, that's for North Macedonia, that's its promised land, because for Vranec, because we have here 10,900 hectares of this grape variety planted through the whole country, and gives very good results. They fit well with our wine regions here. And the other countries in neighboring countries where we can find production of Vranec is Kosovo, which you can see, participate with 3% of total amount of production of Vranec. North Macedonia is 68, Montenegro 23. Then we have Bosnia and Herzegovina also with 3%, Croatia mostly in the southern part of Croatia and the coastal part, and usually used for blend with Plavac Mali with 2%, and Serbia with 120 hectares, small. There are some near the Fruška Gora, and in the some vineyards in the southern part of Serbia also. In total production is of Vranec is actually is planted actually is almost 16,000 hectares. About the winemaking, traditional winemakings and modern winemaking. This is actually the stone tubes found in Zagrad behind the Markos Towers in Prilep wine district. There's a few of them, probably 50 of these stone tubes, and they witnesses for long tradition of production of wines. Some of them, not all of them, are used for production for crushing the grapes, and you see here it's collecting the juice. But when we're talking about the traditional wine production, we need to mention that in the past it often blends, and last 2 decades the wines are actually can be find some varietal wines in traditional production. Usually, when production is traditional production of wines, it's 3 grape varieties, no matter of berry color. One is used for color, the other for flavor, grape variety, and the third one is used for body or concentration, or as we mentioned, the water from wine. Of course, wild yeast, they in traditional winemaking they don't inoculate selected yeast, and there's 3 detectable, let's say, technologies of winemaking. One is communarche, which means on skins, and it's pretty reductive production. It's the oldest way of production, but it's still widely used. That means all the time wine, most and wine are with contact with skins, and after the fermentation we have hermetically closed the barrels, and resulting wine is very fruity. Wines with aromatically looks like Beaujolais or some Italian Olello, but in difference with this wine has more sparks on the tongue, because the CO2 is actually integrate inside. Let's say not so high like Frizzante in Italy. Then we have a Laceno, or in French soutirage process or racking, where we have one single aeration of wine. Wine is, after fermentation, is separate from the skins, and after one month is aerated outside in order from the basket, racking from basket to basket, and to make a wine a foam that is considered that this foam it's helping for avoiding to escaping of dividing actually the sulfur and as well the carbon dioxide which is into the wine. And this wine can be aged for a year, 2 or 3, and it's more structured than communarche. Then we have a go, and literally translated naked wine. It's similar to Laceno, but it's triple aerated. First aeration is outside on the rainy day because there is too much oxygen into the air, which is important for this production. And then after the month, it's the second, and after the third month is the third aeration, and could be done, should be done actually into the very cold winter and need to be sunny day. I really don't know why, but this is something which help about this production or about this style of wine. And this wine is considered as a well-structured wine, a wine which can actually age for a longer period. Wine also with fruitiness, but can age into the barrels and into the bottles as well. So when we're talking about the modern winemaking, we start shortly about the vineyards. It's similar like all modern vineyards. So we are all the time looking for new vineyards, researching floral selection. Then we have a new approach to choosing to exploring and choosing the terroirs which are more suitable for the grape variety. Then and we have a lot of research about the soils, which is also considered as important for using the grape varieties, the proper grape variety. Then we have rootstocks. We made some researching about the rootstocks, and we find pretty much the impact of the rootstocks on the phenolic components and anthocyans into the Vranec. Then we have experimenting with new grape varieties, more coming grape varieties from Southern Rhone, usually because we have some similarity with this wine region. We try with less intervention in vineyards, moving to organic production, selection during the harvest, picking the grapes in several triads, picking the grapes for premium wines, and then make another harvest, and so on. In the winery, there's modern production. It's using the cutting-edge technology, rigorous control to all process, cooling the grapes, grape selection, optical selection of grapes or berries, cryo-macerations or in the cooler temperature, extracting the aromas and flavors from the wines, temperature-regulated fermentation, yeast selection, the proper yeast for each grape variety, for style of wine, what we want to achieve. So we have processes in élevage, we have a bétonnage, soulis, malolactic fermentation. So we have very very important process, oxygen control. Then in maturation process, we use oak, mostly French, American, Slavonian, but as well Macedonian oak is also used into the maturation process. We come back to the cement tanks because cement, we consider that can offer something that oak and stainless steel cannot offer. And we try more with bottle aging of the more well-structured wines and as well updating the archives and come back from time to time making the vertical degustation of wines and collecting this information and using for further production. I'm sure that I'm missing a lot of processes that is encompass the modern wine production, but this is what is usual done here. Wine characteristics about the Vranec, as you can see on the, we have a very large core here, and it's dark, almost black. That is why it's calling Vranec. It's very highly concentrated, and if you see on the rim, it's very tiny rim. So we have very, very good extraction here in this wine. Antioxidants are moving 5 milligrams per liter higher than 5 milligrams, and we also have a highest level of resveratrol, which is antioxidants, and make this Vranec very healthy, let's say, wine. It's not the healthiest wine in the world, but can be close to the grape varieties like Malbec or maybe Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is exactly where the Vranec will be found. What is also important is when it's young, is a purple with purple rim, and see 2018, and in 2011 when it's old, they have a little bit garnet, but the mostly change to the deep ruby color. So these differences in color and intensity can give us information about the youngness, the oldness actually of the Vranec. And this 2011 was still fruity, which means that 10 years we don't find here any tertiary notes yet. So the Vranec has a very good potential for aging. Wine characteristics about the taste. We have a high acidity, high tannins, full body wine, and with long and pleasant finish, which is, as you can see, it's almost everything on high, but it's very with the good quality wines, it's with very good balance and very good harmonious order of flavors. And when we're talking about the primary notes, aromas, we can find the black cherry, overripe salt cherry, pomegranate, blackcurrant. In the hot vintages, we can find the blueberry jam, some violets, floral aromas, and some dry sage. Secondary and tertiary aroma will go in direction of offering brown, vanilla from oak, chocolate, sweet tobacco, and leather. So if you see all these aromas, you can think probably that it is aromatic grape variety. Actually, it's not. You can find some part of these aromas and flavors in some of Vranec. Not all these aromas can be found in Vranec to be so complex. And we come at the end, almost just to mention about the wine styles. Yesterday we have Vranec Whole Day, 5th of October, and we have opportunity to taste some small group have opportunity to taste some Vranec of several producers here in North Macedonia. When we talk about the Montenegrin style and Macedonian style, I always like easiest to explain something like Syrah and Shiraz. Let's say Syrah from France, it's more elegant, more spicy than Shiraz from Australia, or for more fruity, more concentrate, more bolded reds. When we compare Montenegro style and North Macedonian style of Vranec, we can use the same terms. When we go deeper to the Macedonian style of wines, the wines which come from the more continental influence offer more high acidity, more refreshing, more vivid wines, more fruity wines, let's say, and the wines which come from the southern part, under more influence of the Mediterranean climate, they offer more jammy notes, fruity notes, but higher concentration, higher tannins, more powerful, more alcohol, but usually well integrated alcohol. So we can use for Vranec the following terms: bolded, powerful, concentrate, fruity, expressive, warmly alcoholic, intensive, opulent, complex, velvety, tannic, succulent, harmonious, temperamental, vivid, and long-lasting as its promised land of the eternal sun. Okay, that will be all of this presentation, and I would like to thank you and make a cheers with you. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, Zvonko. Yes, there's a few questions, so I'll ask those to you now, if that's okay. While you enjoy your wine, you're allowed a sip of your wine first. So there's a couple about the sort of appellation PDO system, and it asked, is Tikves a WCGO or a WCO?
About the appellation, where the Tikves is actually its part, we are working on the registration actually for this, but Tikves will come as the wineries who has vineyards there will go to the wines with protected and guaranteed origin. Let's say I will go back to the classification if it's in second.
Yeah, because there was that question, and there was also one that asked, who determines, how do you determine the difference between how do you determine the difference between the WCO and the WCGO? Is it a bit like Italy? Is it a bit like DOC and DOCG?
Yes. It's similar like Italy, but it's not so precisely determined like in Italy. It's still we are working in the law for make the determination of this two appellations or classification for the wines. So I'm not sure. I think that we also have a blind tasting for VCGO, like in DOCG in Italy. So maybe about the grape varieties, we have a wider range of the grape varieties which we can use for the wines with this classification. Yep.
Thank you. Another question about the varieties. You mentioned it was sometimes blended. So someone asked, what varieties has it been blended with? And just what other grape varieties, as well as another question that's linked, are cultivated in North Macedonia alongside Vranec?
Yes, this presentation, it's actually more focused on the Vranec, but yeah, I forgot to mention, of course, we have, actually in Macedonia, we have only one indigenous grape variety. It's Stanushina, or we call here Macedonian girl. It's very, very elegant wines. It's produced with silky tannins, and could be red wines, could be white wine, and as well the rosé. The best results are offering with the rosé wine. I didn't find Stanushina into the blend with Vranec, but under the traditional method of winemaking, it's very possible to find Stanushina, Prokupets, and together with Vranec, or maybe Kratosia, Kadarka, and some other grape varieties in production with the blends. When we're talking about the commercial blends and commercial wineries, they usually use in blends Kratosia. There's a Zinfandel or Primitivo, the same, grape variety. And actually, we have the most awarded wine which come from Viticulture Winery from the Barovo terroir, and it's domain Barovo, actually, the name of this wine. It's blend of Kratosia and Vranec. So this can be considered, let's say, like a blend, like a GSM in the Rhone. It will be Kratosia and Vranec here in commercial production. But also, of course, Bordeaux blends are usually Cabernet and Merlot, fit well with Vranec. Now, last 5 years, it's usually can be see the Syrah and Vranec in combination into the blend. Vranec fit very well with some other grape varieties, because can offer the freshness, also can offer the structure, improve the structure of the wine, and can offer in the meat, let's say, into the blend. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Just a couple more. This one might be a little bit trickier to answer, but what are the challenges and opportunities that you see in the marketing and selling of wine from North Macedonia in the future?
Okay. Opportunity. Now we're doing, I think, a good marketing about selling the wines. We are not selling at the moment, but we are promoting the grape variety, promoting the new wine region, because actually the wine lovers and the consumers, they have also already favorite wines, but they all the time looking to taste and to meet some other grape varieties and new exotic wine regions. And here I see for the start, for the beginning, something which will be catchy for the new consumers and new, let's say, marketing approach for increasing the selling of the wines and promoting the wine region. Well, this will be for beginning, I think it's enough.
Thank you. Just a couple more. So some people asking, depending where they're based, if they can get hold of some examples. So do you know any particular producers that are available in the USA?
I didn't understand your question, sorry.
No. Yeah. Do you know any particular Vranec wines that are available in the USA, in America?
Oh. No, but if it's no problem, I can make a list very quickly after this presentation, and maybe until tomorrow I will send to, I don't know, on the post of this presentation, just where the consumers can find actually the Vranec and some other North Macedonian wines.
Yeah, or if you also, if you flick to the end of the presentation, we had a slide with all you had your Facebook page. Perhaps they could contact you there if they want to ask. But because I don't know where all the wine's available, but a few people are answering in the chat, so I'm sure we can find some.
Okay, great. Thank you for the people, for the guests who knows.
So yes, and then Hallgarten is the importer in the UK, so you can find some of the wines there. Excellent. Yeah, so wine search is always really useful. If you type in a variety, I'm sure we'll have lots of information. Good. And then one final question then I think that we've got is, what is the approach to choosing the terroirs that are suitable? I'm not sure.
This approach to choosing the terroir actually is the pedagogical science, and it's when we're talking about the terroir, it's I jumped to the soil, but it's actually collecting all the characteristics of which mean the word terroir. This is the climate aspect, the soil, grape variety, exposition, orientation, human who produced these grapes, and approach is very serious because from the past a lot of grape varieties are actually planted on the, let's say, not so good terroirs, and now let's say, for example, we have a Riesling, but it's planted at very hot places, and it's not offering what Riesling can offer. But now the approach is more serious and more scientific. Every aspects are considered, and after that is decide which grape variety will be planted. So we have a very new plants. I think that now it was 770 hectares, which will be new planted. Start with some new grape varieties, and that will be the answer, let's say.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Well, I think that's all the questions that I made a note of. I think anything else you answered as you went along with your very comprehensive presentation. So thank you so much again. This will be going up on our YouTube channel, so you can watch it back if you missed anything, and go into Vranec in some more detail. So thank you so much for your time, Zvonko. And
thanks to you, Lydia, as well.
Yes, hopefully you can come and do a tasting in person that we did have scheduled once travel restrictions are a little bit
yeah, we'll be very glad to come in London and make one great wine tasting of Vranec or some other great varieties and wines from here.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much.